So today we welcome on one of our most inspirational guests yet, Blake Bolden. Blake, how are you? I'm really excited to chat today.
Oh, thanks, Danny. I'm really good. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. And so you currently have your hands on a lot of things right now. You were the first ever Black female scout in the NHL, working for the Kings. You also are their growth and inclusion specialist for the Kings. You were also working with ESPN and reporting, some other TV broadcasting. You have some passion projects off the ice. So a lot going on. But before getting to your hockey career and what you're doing now, I want to start at the very beginning of your journey. So I guess where did you grow up playing hockey and how'd you fall in love with it?
Oh man, the journey has been great. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, Northeast Ohio, right on Lake Erie. And when I was a little girl, it was just my mom and I because she was a single mom.
Mm.
And she had like three different jobs. She was always hustling just to keep food on the table. She was 21 when she had me. So she was a little baby herself. And she met a guy whose favorite sport was ice hockey, and he worked part-time for the Cleveland Lumberjacks, the IHL, the IHF, excuse me, and the Gund Arena back in the day. And he used to take me to those games. And because he used to work part-time there, I would just be in the tunnel. I got to meet players like Jock Hollander. I would be like giving them nugs and going in the locker room, and their mascot came to my 10th birthday party. And so I was just like enthralled with
Yeah.
hockey until I finally just asked, like, hey, I just want to play this sport. Let me see what it's all about. And then my journey started there at 6 years old.
Wow. And so you were raised by a single mom in the beginning. I guess how did she impact your upbringing and shape you into the person you are today?
Ooh, that's a good question. I haven't gotten that one before. My mom is so badass. Like, I'm sure there are so many amazing moms out there, but for me, like she was my role model.
Yep.
The fact that she was just able to be single and just work, and I just saw her grind. And so she instilled hard work, effort, devils in the details. Like, don't let anything slip through the cracks. Like, as a Black woman, especially in Cleveland, you have to work hard or you're not going to get anything. So she just instilled that in me, and I just took that and used it as my, my goal in my career, and honestly, just to make her proud, so that all her efforts, were worth it.
Yeah, no, that's amazing to hear. And so we've done a lot of work with a lot of girls on Team USA, right? Casey Bellamy, we talked about before recording here, Megan Keller, recently had on Emily Clark from Team Canada. And we chatted about their upbringing in hockey specifically with like them playing on boys teams growing up. And so I guess what were your experiences? Did you face any obstacles or hardships as a female hockey player during your childhood?
That's so funny. I watched those TorchPro interviews, and I was sitting there nodding my head like, yup, yup,
Yeah.
changing in the bathroom, yup, getting bullied, yup, getting
Yeah.
cross-checked from behind because you're a girl. Yeah, I mean, that was just a part of the game when you were the only girl on the team and you just wanted to play for the best team that you could. And that those times you were on a boys' team, and that was just the way that it was. For me, just a little bit of extra. I was the only person of color, and sometimes that rubbed people the wrong way. And I would get gender things, thrown at me, and then racial things thrown at me sometimes. And again, I went back to my mother. She was just in the stands. I would look up at her, and she would just like nod, like, let's go. And I would get up, and that was just it. It just didn't really affect me as much as people might think. But I had a strong family dynamic, and I felt okay.
I love that. And your mom seems like a wonderful woman. We might have to have her on the podcast and talk to her.
Right? Like, why me? I mean, that's all her.
Yeah, she seems awesome. And so I guess growing up, also being a hockey player, did you have a role model outside of your mom in terms of like an athlete that you looked up to? Or was it more of kind of a lonely upbringing, being a female in hockey and especially being a Black female in hockey?
Yes, I had role models for sure. I mean, 1998 Olympics, all of those strong women on that Olympic team that won gold for the first time were my role models. And that was when I decided that I wanted to continue to play hockey seriously and try to see how far I could go. I think that's like every girl's story. When they saw that game, they're like, oh my gosh, Cami Granado, oh my gosh, I can get a gold medal and play in the Olympics. That was my goal, and a lot of obviously my teammates' goals that I met along the way. But as far as like a woman of color in sport, I didn't know who Angela James was until I was in college at Boston College. And that was kind of unfortunate for me because I think I really would have appreciated knowing someone and maybe even being able to reach out to someone like that.
Yep. And so now you mentioned about goal setting, right? And so you had it in your mind that you wanted to become a hockey player, maybe pro one day, whatever it may be. And you took that next step to go to prep school up in Lake Placid in upstate New York. And so
Yeah.
is it correct that you were the only Black girl in your school for 4 years? What was that experience like?
That is correct. It was wild. I remember when I got the phone call from the assistant headmaster and the women's head coach or the girls' head coach, and he was like, "Well, we're in the middle of nowhere, and it might be a little bit of culture shock, but don't worry, I got your back." And I was like, "Okay, well, I'm going up there to play hockey and get a decent education." And my mom was like, "Go, go, go! Have this experience. You've been in Cleveland. I've been in Cleveland. Like, get the heck out of here and go live
Mm.
your life." So I just took a risk. And yes, I was the only Black person at school for 4 years, but I had that school is amazing. If you've ever been in Lake Placid, it's like one of the most beautiful places ever. You have so many outdoor activities, and it was fun. I have friends that I'm still close with to this day. But yeah, I didn't have anybody to do my hair. I didn't have anybody to like, do the Black mama bear things, but I made it out okay. It
I'm
was
sure
good.
she visited quite a bit too. And so I love the commitment to the grind. And so you talked about Boston College a little bit. And so your next step in your journey here is you go to BC and you had an absolutely stellar career, right? So I think you were a captain your senior year, 3 Frozen Four appearances, Hockey East Defensive Player of the Year, All American honors, you name it, you did it. But I guess my question here is what was so special about those teams that helped lead to your success on the ice, both individually and as a team, I guess?
What was special about the teams? I mean, I think just our team camaraderie at the time. I remember going in as a freshman. We didn't have Kelly Stagg, we didn't have Molly Schaus. All of those girls were in the Olympics, and we were just terrible. That freshman year, we got our butt kicked, and I think that was like a clicking moment. We're like, okay, well, we're a powerhouse school. We should not be losing this way. And we just started to steamroll. Once we got Kelly Stack back, once we got our netminder, it was just like we're winning. We're winning Hockey East. We're winning Bean Pots. And that was just the goal from then on. We had great leadership, although, everybody is different in their personalities, but we were expected to be great. And I wanted to be great. So I think it was just contagious and we had fun. It's a great city, a great campus, and we all wanted to win together.
Amazing. And so was it those after your freshman year? Was it those 3 Frozen Four experiences? Were those your sophomore through senior year?
Yeah, sophomore through senior year, it was like bam, bam, bam. And you're like, whoa, we're kind of a good program. Oh, whoa, we're getting better. And we really wanted to win a national championship, but we weren't at that level yet. And I think for me, I'm proud because I think that I and myself and other teammates that I've had in the past, we helped change that program into what it is today.
Yeah, 100%. You set the foundation a little bit. I think that happens in a lot of different schools is like a lot of classes and specific players can get their program to that point, but maybe not over the hump. And then it happens a few years later. And then that's when the coaches call you back and you're like, wow, thank you so much. This championship is part of you too. So that's
Still
great.
haven't won a championship. Gosh darn it.
Well, the BC will get there. And so you continued your success in the professional ranks, right? So you go on to the Canadian Women's Hockey League. You're a first round draft pick. You're also the first African American draft in the first round in that league. Next year, you go to the American League. You win a championship. You were an all-star. You're defensive player of the year. I think you're the hardest shot in the league. And you're also, again, the first African American to play in this league. So was it for you when you look back on your career in the professional ranks? Were you more excited and proud of your on the ice accomplishments or what you did as a trailblazer in the sport, being the first African American to play in the NWHL?
I wasn't honestly thinking about any of that back in the day. In 2013, when I played in the CWHL, and that was announced that I was the first Black woman drafted in the first round, I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." It was a smaller league. I think there were about 6 teams, and we weren't getting paid the big bucks to play. And I really just wanted to continue to play hockey. That's why this is what we were all doing, right? And so when all of these accolades and things came down the pipeline, I was just a 20-something-year-old kid just having a blast until the young girls started coming
Yep.
and saying, "Oh my goodness, you're the reason why I wanted to play hockey. Oh my goodness, you're such a role model." And I've got people like Megan Duggan and Casey Bellamy and Brianna Decker standing next to me who are multiple Olympic athletes, and these girls are coming up to me who doesn't have that. And so that kind of gave me a lot of inspiration. And so I guess if you ask me what I'm proud of most, it's that.
Yeah, and I think it's important now that the way the media has shifted, where you can be able to tell these stories and tell your story. And I think that's so important. And one thing that we're trying so hard to do at TorchPro is it's to really pull out the personalities of each athlete, and especially like your story, and tell the world who you are, so the next generation can be inspired to accomplish their own goals and dreams. And so now you got the chance to get to know Willie O'Ree a little bit, right? What was that experience like?
Oh man, Willie's the coolest. I don't know if you've ever met him, but
Nope.
I always say that, people actually tell me that you never really want to meet your idols. And when you meet Willie, he just like crushes that
Uh,
stereotype. He is so amazing. He's so open. You can't even get through a rink standing next to him because people are just like coming at him in throngs, like Willie, Willie, Willie. And he will stop and shake everybody's hand and look them in the eye and have a conversation. And that's just who he is. And that's why he's so inspirational. I've gotten to be on panels with Willie, do fireside chats with Willie, travel with Willie, and he's consistently an incredible human being. And I'm just so honored that I am alive right now to be able to spend time with him, and that he's healthy at 86 years old and is still continuing to inspire so many people.
Yeah, he's a legend. And as a Boston Bruins fan, I was really excited to see his jersey retired a few months back. That was a pretty
Yeah.
incredible experience. Were you there for
Yeah.
that or no?
I was there. I flew out for that. I flew
Wow.
out for the Carnegie Initiative and I flew out to watch that. And I got so emotional. Like I was in the tunnel, myself and Anson Carter, who actually held up his number 22 as it was being raised in the rafters. And I was like, oh my God, okay.
Oh,
But it
wow.
was great.
Yeah, no, that's an incredible experience. And so now I want to shift gears a little bit to what you're doing with the Kings, right? And so you kind of have two roles here. You sit as a scout, but you also sit
Mhm.
as the head of growth and inclusion. So first, I want to talk about that part of things. So what are some fun projects or great projects that you guys are currently working on that side of the house?
Growth and inclusion. Well, every month is a special month in the NHL, and right now it's Women's History Month. So we're flying out good old Megan Bozek, who I'm going to see on the 24th in Montgomery, and we're going to have our fantasy camp, get on the ice, play some hockey, and really just celebrate women. As a growth and inclusion specialist, I'm constantly being asked about what my opinions are and how we can diversify hockey in Los Angeles, which is one of the most diverse cities in the country, right? I am going out to different boys and girls clubs and YMCA's more specifically, and just putting sticks in their hands and saying, okay, let's play some hockey. Do you like this? 99.9% of the time, they're like, heck yeah, this is the coolest thing ever. Let's get you to a game. Do you like the Kings game? Was it exciting? Oh my gosh, it was so exciting. How do I put skates on now? Because that was the experience that I had in the Gund Arena when I was 6 years old. And I can see myself in these young kids, and all they need is a bridge to opportunity. And hockey occasionally, I mean, not occasionally, hockey is hard to get into.
Right.
And that is the gap that we're trying to fill or build that bridge so that these kids can walk across and get on the ice and have fun, just like they deserve,
Yeah.
right?
100%. And that's super special. Is this a new role that the Kings kind of took on with you as the new hire, or was this something that already had a job for that you filled?
This was a new role that we created as I started working as a scout in 2020. Our COO and our VP of Community Relations contacted me, and as well as Luke Robitaille, and they were like, Blake, well, you're kind of this figure in ice hockey. You've been diversifying the sport, just being who you are. How about we do this here in Los Angeles? So the next time we raise the cup, our fan base can depict, the diversity that we see in our city.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. I love it. And so there's still clearly like a ways to go in hockey with diversity, but have you witnessed any change in the sport over your last few years in this role?
Well, absolutely. I would say Quentin Byfield, number two overall.
Right.
That is a huge change and actually a huge shift. I've seen so many young Black ice hockey players just popping out of nowhere, being so inspired by Quentin, especially in Los Angeles. We used to have Bokoi Mamba, Akil Thomas on our roster. I mean, it's been such a privilege to see these kids grow. And, hockey in the NHL is what, 3% BIPOC. And I think steadily it is increasing. And that's really important. And that's not even in the women's game, that's only in the men's side. There have been individuals like Sarah Nurse and Soria Tinker who are just trickling down, and Kiana Scott, who's a scout in the OHL. So all of these women of color that are making change in the game, I think we're all picking up our responsibility and taking it seriously, and changing what we can in our sport.
Yeah, very powerful, and keep at it because I think things are trending in the right direction.
For
So
sure.
no, congrats to everything you're doing. But now on the hockey side of things, as a scout, what is your favorite part about being a scout and kind of doing a talent evaluation?
Well, I just told you my schedule before we
Yeah,
hopped on the
wild.
call, and you're like, okay, a day in the life for you is never the same. So I am
Right.
never bored. I'm on the road. Now that things are opening back up, this is almost like my full season being on the road, because before it was a lot of video, right as COVID hit, and I started in 2020. So it's almost like it's my rookie season. I'm getting introduced to a lot of the scouts that I haven't met before. So I'm meeting a lot of people, and the guys are really nice.
Good.
Uh, Interestingly, so I would say that I'm sitting down watching a game in the AHL, and someone will come up to me and they'll be like, "Blake Bolden, how are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, you know who I am? That's really cool." And I really appreciate you coming up and introducing yourself to me, and just watching hockey, not just as a fan, but as your job. I mean, that's the coolest stuff in the world, right? Like, I
Amazing.
get to have an opinion about a team or a player and bring that to our GM and potentially make change in our lineup. So I think the responsibility of that is huge, and I take it seriously, and it's challenging, but like I said, I'm never bored. And I'm really excited about the future in that.
Yeah, that travel schedule you were talking about is absolutely crazy. So good for you. But so we've seen a lot of great shift here in the in professional sports the last few years with females getting jobs, whether it's NFL sidelines and the MLB, NBA, whatever it may
Mhm.
be. But what is your goal in terms of, are you looking to one day hopefully become a coach?
Oh, a coach. No, probably not a coach. Someone asked me that. I don't know if I have the jazz for that. Um, I would love to be an owner of some team. I would love to potentially be an assistant GM or GM. But I also would love to be on TV more,
Yep.
right? There's all these little branches and paths that I am learning and walking down. And I think eventually I'll have to niche it out a little bit more. So I'm enjoying the ride and the experience, and we'll see what happens, because I didn't know back in uh, 2019 in November when I met Luke Robitaille in the tunnel of the Staples Center then,
Right.
that I was going to be a scout in 2020, and then my whole life changed for the better. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm here for it.
No, nor should you. You got to embrace the ride. That's the best part. And so I want to get to TV in a second, but I did see you teach Kevin Hart how to play hockey. So I do know you have some coaching skills. But what was that like? That was a funny bit that I saw on your social.
Oh man, that was so fun. Like
Yeah, he's
that
hilarious.
winter tailgate that he had for Peacock. I mean, I was really nervous. I was like, oh my gosh. And they really wanted me to make fun of his height, but I don't like making fun of
You,
people. But his energy was up here, so I had to try to match it. That was so funny. Teaching him how to shoot was awesome. I was like, let's go on the ice next. He was like, hell no. So we gotta work on Kevin and maybe some other celebrities, because I think that's important. I think it's important to get people introduced to the game. I mean, Snoop Dogg is like a huge advocate for the Kings, and we're so grateful for him. But that really helps our game bring swag and culture and fun to it. But teaching Kevin Hart how to shoot was definitely a highlight in my career.
yeah, I'm not too confident about his skills as a hockey player moving forward, but I love the fact that he's embracing hockey and the culture and bringing some more new audience to the game. So
Yeah, what do you say? He wanted to be a
an
enforcer.
enforcer. He's not going to be
seven,
enforcer at
you
that
know?
height. No, maybe the way he held that stick.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
that was great. So you talk about wanting to be on TV more. So can you talk to me a little bit about what you do with ESPN currently right now?
Yes, my title is a reporter, and right now I'm actually doing your job as an interviewer and
Yep.
sitting down with players and getting to know them and showing their personality more so. As you know, hockey players are very introvert, or not all of them,
They're
but some of
humble.
them are humble, and we want to see that because I think that's good business, that's good branding for themselves. And right now, that's a part of my job with ESPN. So I went up to all Star was my first little shindig, and that was crazy fun and overwhelming and exciting. It was Vegas, it was nuts. It was my first NHL All Star in general. So, more to come, and we'll see. Hopefully, I'll be on your big screen soon.
Hopefully. And so now, do you work closely with Emily Kaplan? We had her on the podcast,
I
pretty
did see
recently. Yeah.
that. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
so Emily and I were in that room interviewing players together, or one at a time, or however you want to put it. And I was really just looking at her like, dang, she's really good at her job. I mean, she's
Great.
been doing it for a while and writing and creating stories. And so she's gonna be more of a mentor to me. I haven't really asked her, so I guess this is me asking her on
Yeah.
your podcast. Emily, can you be my mentor? And Linda Cohn, and they were really supportive and helpful. So I look forward to that too.
If I know Emily, I know that she will accept her job as a mentor of Blake Bolden. No, it's great. And so I want to talk a little bit about your personal brand. And so becoming bold, right? It's all about breaking barriers, which you have done your entire career. But what is your ultimate goal with the brand?
My ultimate goal with the brand, it's almost like me telling myself to become bold. I mean, I'm constantly reminding myself, and as that humble hockey player, you're not really like, I'm a trailblazer, I'm this, I'm that. But, you just got to take one step at a time and break the ceilings if you need to, and leave a path for those that are coming behind you. And when I mentor young girls, I really just want them to be bold in themselves and learn that quicker than I had to learn that when I was, in my mid 20s and still learning it in my early 30s. I want them to know that they're powerful at any age, and they can make decisions that best serve themselves and really learn how to be who they truly are. So they're not like faking it to make it. They just are authentically them.
Yeah, they're being them. And so I think you have a full-on mentorship program, right? Where you work one-on-one with these girls.
Full on, yeah, a
That's
full on
amazing.
mentorship program that started in November of 2021 and ended just in March. And hopefully, we get to start that up again, because in March, my last meeting with them, I was like sad. I was like, I don't know when I'm gonna see you guys again. Like, we gotta get this going. I don't like go ahead, little birdies, like fly away, but
Yeah.
I need to know what you're doing.
Yeah, the bond is real. And so I have one final question before diving into some rapid fire. But where's your drive come from? When did you decide to take on the responsibility to kind of be this mentor, be this trailblazer? When did that kind of set in stone where you were like, all right, I'm gonna be this big badass role model?
Oh man, I think that my drive first and foremost came from my mother, as I mentioned, who I always saw busting her behind to provide and to inspire me to be great. Like, I remember when I told my mom, I'm from Cleveland, I was like, Mom, I think I want to go to Ohio State. And she was like, Ohio State's cool and all, but I didn't bust my butt so you can go to your own state school. Like, you're getting out of here and you're not coming back. And I don't want to see you come back to this state. I want to see you thrive. So I have to give a lot of the credit to her. And then along the way, I've just had some amazing people in my life who have just helped me walk through doors. It hasn't been like I've just been crashing all this stuff on my own.
Right.
There have been coaches and mentors and executives and fiancés, if you will, that have just held me up and been like, you can do this, don't stop. And that's been giving me a lot of fuel.
I love it. Recently engaged, right?
Yeah.
Well, congrats on that.
Thank you.
So some rapid fire here. One word, one phrase, take as long as you want.
Okay.
We'll dive right into them. They're quick. But who was your favorite athlete growing up as a kid?
Favorite athlete is probably Venus Williams.
Who is your favorite athlete to watch in current day sports?
Current day sports. It was Candace Parker, but she's kind of retired.
Yeah,
Um, Simone Biles.
love it. What's the best moment of your own sports career?
Best moment, I would say winning Hockey East first time, Boston College.
Who is your favorite music artist?
Kendrick Lamar.
He's awesome. I loved the halftime show this year at the Super Bowl. That was incredible.
That was awesome.
What's your biggest fear?
Oh, my biggest fear is letting people down.
I think I know the answer to this last one, but what is one word that best describes you?
Ooh, bold.
That's what I was gonna say. Bold. I love it. So no, thank you for your time today, Blake. One last question before we get you out of here. You go on that crazy travel schedule that you have. But what is one piece of advice that you could pass along to the next generation that you've learned along your journey that could help them accomplish their goals in life?
I would say don't conform. You gotta be you, you gotta be true, and you gotta be bold.
Love it. I love it. Well, thank you, Blake. I appreciate the time. Hopefully we can do some more storytelling with you, maybe a day in the life of that crazy travel schedule. And we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Danny. Thanks for having me.